Daniel Daddario, welcome to the All Good Books podcast. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so happy you're here. I'm a huge fan of you, your work, and your book. Debut author of the incredible book called The Talent. For those who can see it, if you're watching us on YouTube, again, if you're listening on Spotify, and not again, if you're listening on Spotify, you have to get this amazing book. Again, it's called The Talent by Daniel. It's incredible. You're going to love it. But before we get into the book, Daniel, how are you surviving summer, this heat wave that the East Coast is experiencing?
It is no joke. I'm in New York and I feel as though I'm swimming through the air. It's so humid. I know I can't complain to an audience of South Carolinians about the heat, but I'm gonna. It's no joke out there. So I'm doing all right. I am very ready for fall, not just great fall movies, festival season, but also a little bit of a reprieve. That will be nice.
Well, you were touching on all the things that I definitely want to get in the festival season. It's one of the things I've written down to ask you about because my co-host, who is also the creative director at All Good Books, Julie Hansard, she's always so prepared and so thought out. And I'm more like, oh, just pour the wine, let's just talk. But I was like, I want to be prepared because out of respect for you, what you do, and I'm a fan of your work. But we talked a little bit as a warm-up before we started recording about the heat, but let our listeners know and the viewers know what kind of shoe game are you sporting this summer? Because you gave me a little tip about the shoe game.
Well, I can't claim to have my Gucci loafers on in this heat. Unfortunately, I am rocking a beautiful two-toned foot because I'm wearing my Birkenstock sandals everywhere I go. And if you know what Birkenstock sandals look like, you got those two straps across your feet that block the sun, and so you end up with across your little hooves, you get two beautiful stripes as the sun beats down on you. But Birkenstock sandals, that's my tip. They're not very aesthetic, but they're extremely comfortable.
Birkenstocks have come a long way. I love the little gray steel or steel gray colored ones with the double strap. So chic. We might need to call our friends at Condé Nast and be like, hey, fashion episode slash book episode. But let's get right to the heart of the matter. Why I want to talk to you, highlight you and your work. You're an incredible writer, and so before I get into my first question written down, since you brought up festivals.
Yes.
Um, Festival season is kind of like now. We're preparing for Venice, we're preparing for Telluride, we're preparing for TIFF. So many good movies out. And in the book, The Talent that you've written, which again is amazing, it's incredible. The book starts with, incredible actresses, five preparing for award season. So, in the spirit of your book, The Talent, and the season we're in now, which festivals are you looking forward to? And not just which festivals, which projects and films have you heard about or like ready to see?
Yeah, that's a great question because just as you say, my novel is all about awards season. And every year, as the lineups for the fall festivals that kick off award season come out, it's kind of like seeing all your presents under the tree at Christmas time that you'll get to unwrap. And so I'm always lately most curious and interested in what happens at Venice. Venice has become kind of the really big launching pad for movies. Last year, The Brutalist began at Venice. The Room Next Door, the Almodovar film. In past years, The Shape of Water, movies like that, Nomadland, Joker, they all began at Venice. And this year, the new film by Yorgos Lanthimos, the Greek director, who is continuing his partnership with Emma Stone, who I think is like the most exciting young actress on the planet. They have a film out called Bugonia. It's not spelled like begonia, the flower, but bug, like an insect, onia. And details are pretty scarce. It's about uh, two kind of mentally unwell people who become convinced that this powerful CEO, played by Stone, is actually an alien, and they kidnap her to try to give up her alien secrets. And that's all I know. But anything Yorgos Lanthimos does, the director of Poor Things, of The Favorite.
The Lobster.
Hello. Anything he does, I will be seated, and I cannot wait for more details.
No, Yorgos is incredible. And we again talked off camera before we got started because it's our first time having like an interaction that's like audio and visual other than email and like Instagram. But we have a art house theater here called the Nickelodeon, and I was introduced to Yorgos's work because they had a screen of The Lobster. And when I saw that, I was like, I've never seen nothing like this that's so left, but still so relatable, so understandable. And that's what really made me like, yeah, an Olivia Colman fan because she's like one of the people who's managing the hotel. But I was like, oh, I like this guy's viewpoint. And then of course the Nicole Kidman thing with Barry Keoghan, The Killing of the Sacred Deer, if I'm getting the
Incredible
title
movie.
right.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Yes,
yes, incredible
yes. I
movie.
was like, he's so left and a little like that I like it though. So I'm glad you're excited about Venice. Yeah,
It's
for
so
sure.
cool that also that people like Kidman, like Olivia Colman, like Emma Stone, like Barry Keoghan, sign up for his twisted vision. It's kind of the way it should be,
Mhm.
that people can be that adventurous and daring. I think it's really incredible. So that's what I'm most excited for this season so far.
No, incredible. Like, did you go to or were you excited about what happened with Cannes this year? Because they had such a huge impact, and not just present, but a huge impact on like our American award season when we think about the Globes and think about the Oscars. This year there were some excitable titles, but as far as Cannes goes, seemed a little muted for American film or American talent, other than the Jennifer Lawrence project, which got a lot of buzz.
Yeah, the Jennifer Lawrence project, Die My Love, which is based on a book that I'm actually in the middle of reading right now. But I think that that film festival, never been, but my understanding is that for reasons that might be a little beyond the scope of this podcast today, European Film Festival might not be overwhelmingly eager or delighted to celebrate American culture. I think maybe it's a moment for we Americans to be listening and not speaking in international film festivals. But, the movies that won there still sounded incredible. You had an Iranian director, Jafar Panahi, who's been in trouble with his government. He won the top prize. There was the runner-up film there was called Sentimental Value. It's a Norwegian film. It also sounded incredible. And the Cannes Film Festival does have the power to set the agenda for the Oscars. Last year, the top prize went to Anora, and it was the first time anyone ever heard of Anora. And
Come on, Neon.
it ended
Yes.
up when Neon distributed it all across the country, and it ended up sweeping the Oscars. So we'll see what happens. Like you say, the upshot is that these film festivals, it's where a lot of news comes out of, it's where the agenda gets set, and it's where conversations start. And so it's always fun to pay attention to.
Always so much fun. And to connect to your book, a reason why we're here, because yes, I love film and I could talk to you all day, all night about your work. But I want to talk about the work and the gift, the beauty you put into the talent. I want to talk about that. That book starts with a main character with a side character traveling to, a film fest. In my mind was given like Telluride, like, oh, they head into one of the early film festivals, starting on award season. And I'll keep it light in the beginning. Adria Benedict, that's how I'm pronouncing her
Yeah,
name.
yeah, sure. Yes.
Which pronouncement do you prefer, or like pronunciation? Is it Adria or Adria? I was like, how do I say this?
When
Like,
I
which?
told the audiobook, when I told the audiobook people, because when you
Mhm.
write a book, the audiobook producers, if you're lucky enough to have an audiobook, email you and say these were ambiguous. And so I have it as Adria in my head with a long A at the beginning.
I
But
love that. I'll
I
call her
hit the nail.
Adria
Yeah.
then.
Yeah.
It's Adria Meryl Streep. It's given like a hybrid of Meryl Streep and Nicole Kidman. Like I've been in the game, I got my awards, but also from what I get, because I don't know her personally. I definitely know her as well as you do. But
Hmm.
Meryl gives like a humility and like a everyday kind of womanish with her talent. Where Nicole, while I love her work, it does seem like she's also very intelligent about like, oh, what I'm gonna give. So I was like, oh, that this character seems to be a hybrid of Meryl and Nicole. Who do you see playing these five incredible main characters? Let's start with Miss Benedict first.
So who I see playing them is a better question that would be easier to answer than who are they? Because
Okay.
they're all made up. I mean, they're elements that are drawn from things I've observed, but I don't want people to necessarily, or I think a guessing game is more fun than me just saying this is this person. I want you to feel like you have a guessing game going on, put it that way. In terms of if I were making a movie of it, while I was writing it, I kind of saw Adria in my mind in the movie version of, or the TV show version of The Talent, as I think she'd be a very good Annette Bening character because she's very articulate and upright and prim and proper. And this is a woman, you kind of introduced her, but I'll just say she is a veteran actress who is like the world's most prestigious, most celebrated actress who's won a ton of awards and kind of wants to get like the victory lap to crown her career and cement herself as I was history's greatest actress. I've been so decorated, but like the younger generation is nipping at my heels and I need to show them who's the boss. That's her kind of her motivation. And well, none of that describes Annette Bening. I'm just saying for the movie, the TV show I'm casting in my mind, I could see, I think of how Annette Bening can do a monologue like in The American President, where she's just full of kind of resentment and wanting what's hers and wanting to take what's hers, or more to the point, American Beauty. And I think she'd be good at playing that character, but I think there's a ton of good options. I really like what you said about Nicole Kidman. I've never one-on-one interviewed her, but I've been in the same room as Nicole Kidman on various occasions, and she is incredibly impressive in that she knows she has star power. She holds your attention. She turns it on, and I think
Yeah.
everyone in this book at various points turns on the charisma machine, and it reminds you that star power is a talent and is a gift and is something that not all of us possess, and it's just kind of awe-inspiring to be in its presence.
I'm with you. Oh God, I feel like I talked to you for like eons and decades, not just because of the work you do, but I think you have a love for Hollywood that is similar to mine, where it's like, yeah, I'm reporting about it and I'm bringing a journalistic integrity to what I do, but there's a clear like interest in that world which propels me and st propel you to stay in that world.
Yes.
Same line of conversation of going from talking about the characters. You recently wrote an article for Variety, which you're chief correspondent for, about the new Alien project with FX.
Mhm.
First of all, y'all go to Daniel's Instagram. Make sure you follow him. Make sure you read all his work and his colleagues' work at Variety because it's great writing. But you begin that article, which I loved, talking about the real of it, talking about what it is like to deal with talent. And going beyond just talking about what it's like to deal with talent, because you're not even putting a judgment on it. And I think for me, how I read it was very empathetic. It was kind. You talk about the main actress, not coming to the shoot and like, doing what Variety might have wanted them to do or what you might have wanted them to do. And they have their reasons and they do follow up with you into an interview. But you have a way of dropping readers, whether it's in, again, the talent or your articles of Variety, you drop them right into what is going on, where it's like people can feel like they're you. You're letting them know, here's what I'm seeing, here's what I'm seeing. It's a cool way of writing, a direct way of writing. And where does that come from, or what motivates you to write in that way? Because you have a lot of entertainment journalists who wouldn't include that, hey, so and so agreed to do this. Now they say, hey, they're having second thoughts. And you get that within the writing of the talent. So where does that come from? That whole observational, let me just give the readers what I'm experiencing, what I'm seeing, that realness. Where does that come from?
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for the compliment on that piece specifically. I wanted to really write it with care because the actor in question, Sydney Chandler, dropped out of our photo shoot the day before. She had reasons that are explained in the article, and I wanted to be empathetic, but also just convey what it's like uh, to have that happen and to talk about how that gets at the bigger truth of that the show, which is a great show, was also complicated and challenging to put together in the way of all big productions. In terms of why I write things the way that I do when I'm doing journalism, or a little bit in this book as well, is I think what I would say is that I feel very fortunate to do what I do. It is definitely my dream job when I was younger. And I'm this is not just me vamping or giving a fake awards acceptance speech, but I want the person who's reading my work to feel as though they are seeing through my eyes in the room that I'm in, not just with me, but me. And I want to take myself a little out of the equation and just be the transmitter of you're with this person. What are they like? When I first started writing profiles, um, an editor long ago said to me, you don't really get any sense of what it's like to be in the room with them. And that's what people want to know. What is it like to be sitting across a table from a movie star? Most people will never have that experience. And so I'm lucky enough to get that experience and I want to transmit it and taking myself out of it, not being like, I'm Dan, I'm nervous today, I have an upset tummy, my shoes don't fit right, but more just like, I'm observing everything. My eyes are open. When there's a catch in her throat and she starts to shed a tear, or when he starts to get animated and pulls out his cell phone to show me something that he used to do research, I want that to feel really alive and vivid. And I appreciate the compliment because I'm glad to know that in the Alien story you were really with me on that.
No, I was with you. Again, like I guess I can be a little biased because I've always been a guy, I'm originally from Philadelphia, but I grew up mainly outside of Pamplico in Florence, South Carolina, in a trailer full of lots of love, on a dirt road with my grandmother and like my family and another, it just I'm always been somebody. The point I'm trying to convey is like I look to good writing. I look to the films. I look to, great articles that would transport me and give me experience that enhance the love and experience I grew up with. So it comes through. You and your writing are a beautiful vessel into, hey, you may not be reporting for Variety. You may not be here on set with me, but I'll bring you there. And you do that so incredibly well. And I'm not just gassing you or just saying it because you're here doing an interview or doing our podcast. It's good. I told you before we started recording, I love books, I love writing, but I'm very selective about what I read. It has to be good. It has to be what I say on the level. And you're on the level, staying on topic with the book, with the talent, which is incredible. The book does focus on five actresses. I'm someone who follows award season from the festivals to the actual major award shows, a whole kit and caboodle. And personally, I always find women within the industry to be way more exciting. A lot of that can be, assigned to me because I'm a queer man who just love a powerful leader lady. But what made you, Daniel, want to focus on five incredible characters and what they are experiencing or how they experience an award season and each other?
Well, a few things. One, I was nodding, for those not watching on video, nodding and smiling when you were saying that as a queer man, you've always identified with the leading lady. I think there is something, and I don't even want to call it camp because it's not that necessarily. It is just that women are women in the public eye, women who are actresses, women who are giving acceptance speeches, are able to be more outwardly emotive and take you on more of a journey. When I don't want to cast any aspersions, but when, Casey Affleck or Adrian Brody or Joaquin Phoenix wins an Oscar and is very stoic and says, "Oh, thank you, my agent, thank you." It's not as exciting. It's not as thrilling. I also think that as to the question of why is it five, I felt as though I thought of this book in terms of doubles. For someone, the genesis of the book was I was thinking about what would it be like to be someone who always wins, and by contrast, there is you know, there must be balance in the universe. If someone
Yeah,
always wins, someone must always lose. And
right.
indeed, Adria has kind of her counterpart character who has been nominated many times and has never put the pieces together to win, and carries with her for all that Adria feels like the cock of the walk and feels I am I am Miss Thing, I am so incredible. Her counterpart feels very beaten down and feels very upset by her fate. There are other kinds of doubling in the book. Um, People who seem to have this effortless charisma, whereas people for whom it's more effortful. People who live openly and people who live secretly. I could go through, but more to the point, I just thought that having five people to play with, and they were my, I enjoyed playing with them and casting them in my little play. Uh, it just enabled me to have all different sorts of collisions. I think every pairing of within that five has a distinct relationship within the book that is emotionally complex or ambiguous. And that was really fun for me to think about this web of people, a social web, who's up, who's down, who's not speaking to one another, and who's becoming fast friends.
No, it's an incredible web. And y'all, listen, I'm all about transparency. I just got notification that the meeting will end in 10 minutes.
I saw that too.
It will not, I mean, if it has to, it has to. But if not, I will just like, re-go again and I'll edit all this out because I'm enjoying the conversation as long as
Yeah.
it's within your schedule and you have the time for it. Um, the book, I'll be transparent again, word of the day, along with Incredible. I use Incredible a lot. I started the book on audio. And
Uh-huh.
when I heard the audiobook, and then the audiobook went from, the different narrators with the different characters, and I was like, oh, this is complex. It's gonna be good. I want a physical copy. And that kind of what drove me to like, oh, like I'm interested in like reading or hearing this book, but I want to hold it and read it. You did a great job with these characters. I think the five characters are the perfect way. It lines up as far as nominations for those who love award season. And again, just follow along in my mind, which is a through line, and it's not just the rosé. Who would
Hmm.
you cast, not if, but when HBO calls
Oh.
to make this into a limited series? Because I think it would be an incredible limited series. A film, yes, but a limited series, you can really dig into it. Who would you cast as Adria, Betty, Contessa, Davina, and Jenny? Who was your dream cast of your leading ladies? And don't forget, and help me out, the side character who's in the film with Miss Benedict, who
Oh,
she wants to be on. I thought she was great, so I was like, dang, she needs her own book or whatever.
well, thank you. Look, I don't want to leave anyone out. So if you are an Academy Award winning actress who's listening to the All Good Books podcast, I didn't mention your name. It's just because we're on a timer with 8 minutes and 17 seconds left. Um, for Biddy, who is, I'll just use this as a way to introduce them briefly. For Biddy, who is a rising star who emerged out of like gross out comedies and who feels very insecure about her standing and is kind of has a alcohol dependency. I was really thinking about for the limited series, Sydney Sweeney, especially her performance on Euphoria and how big she's able to go. For Contessa, who is a young actress of color who is kind of can't set a foot wrong and is so perfect all the time and so composed despite having a really challenging relationship with her mom who professionally manages her. I was thinking about Halle Bailey from The Little Mermaid.
Yes, that's a great. And I was thinking Halle Berry would be the woman playing like the senior version. Help me out with her name, but the one who's like,
Eleanor. I
yes,
think
I
that
was
is
like Halle
brilliant.
Berry all day.
I think that is absolutely brilliant. I completely agree with you.
And the
Um,
name, but now that we say the names, they do blend over, but like the
we're gonna have to
history of.
we're gonna have to space those names out on the poster, but to avoid confusion, but I think you're dead right. For Davina, who is kind of a British actress with a secret, tantalizingly phrased perhaps. I was thinking of she's maybe a little older for the part, but I think we could write it this way, like Kristen Scott Thomas, who's in The English Patient.
Yes.
Throwback Thursday. And then for that's Davina. And then for Jenny, who is kind of the woman who always loses and has this kind of rumpled dignity despite it all. I could see that as a Laura Dern type. Um,
Oh, I was thinking, what's her name from I Won't Be Ignored, Dan. Oh,
oh,
help
Glenn
me out.
Close? Yeah, yeah.
I was in Glenn Close. I was like, yes, Glenn, like Glenn, get her because Glenn is overdue for an Academy Award.
Well, that is
Truly,
certainly true. Who
truly.
knows? Maybe this project could be that for her in this hypothetical world we're operating in. But thank you. It's honestly one of the most fun parts. This is just fun. Uh, one of the most fun parts of promoting the book and talking to people is that people who've read it closely, the way you have, do come to me. And it's less about who's it based on once they read it, and more about, okay, but in the movie, who is it? In the TV show, who is it? Because it lends itself, you see the way they work.
Hmm.
They are acting all the time, even in their interactions with each other. So it's just fun to play with. And I love that. It's a lot of fun.
I love that too. And if, just to give a little bit of background, because it's not about me, it's about you and your amazing work. Other than like co-own all of the books, I do community organizing. And again, my degree's in mass comm. So while I am always trying to be authentic and genuine, and I am that, There is a part of my brain that is very much aware, as my therapist says, like, oh, you're just very self-conscious, and not like, oh, woe is me, I won't enter the world, but self-conscious. And when like, there's a party that's always thinking about, oh, how will this be perceived? How will someone take this? And that is such a one of the main themes in the book. Like these women, for better or for worse, they're always aware of like, how will this thing I say, do, or the way I campaign for this film and project be perceived. And so that's one of the things I connect to that. You as a writer, you aren't an actor, but you report in Hollywood, you write for a fantastic publication with a great legacy. Do you sometimes think about how your work and how you yourself are perceived in the world when you are dealing with the public or they're dealing with your writing?
Of course, yeah. I mean, less the public and more, for instance, I do a lot of interviews for my job, including interviews with high profile people. And uh, I'm not saying that I'm being false or representing myself falsely, but necessarily conducting an interview is a form of a performance because you're trying to get information out of someone who maybe doesn't necessarily want to give you that information. And so you do have to be your best, most winning, most charming, most intelligent, but not intimidating self. And I think that's a skill that takes time to learn, but I don't think it's dissimilar from performing, even though, like I say, it doesn't involve being false. It just involves framing things in a different way and not being thoughtless about the way you're perceived. And so I do think about that a lot. I think that we are all, performing to some degree all the time in our interactions with one another because a world where we were always keeping it 100% real would be the world's worst reality show. And so
Okay.
I think that these five women aren't necessarily doing it a lot more than you or I because of the business they're in, but I hope that even people who aren't as invested in award season as you or I are, or, haven't seen every art film the way you and I have, I hope that they see in these characters like, oh yeah, when I have to make a presentation at work, I can be kind of fake too. Or if I'm talking to someone at lunch, I'm out to lunch at a fancy restaurant and I'm sitting across from someone and I've offended them, and how do I make it right? That's a performance too. So there's all kinds of scenarios in life that necessitate a little bit of performance, and I think that's what interests me about actresses within the context of this book is that their struggles are surprisingly universal for all that they're in custom couture.
No, absolutely. Well, we do love couture. Shout out to
Yeah.
Vogue and like, the fashion world. But I know I became slightly more comfortable again, like every day's a process, but like my therapist talking about like being self-conscious. I became more comfortable with it. I watched an interview, and I won't even say the publication, but Kerry Washington gave talking about the timeline of her career. You probably kind of know what I'm talking about. But within that timeline video on YouTube, she talks about how she looks at life anthropologically, but then she also talks about like, oh, like this, whether you're actor or just as a human, there's a level of performance that is comes with life. Like
Yeah.
I may not be having the best day, things aren't going well, but I still got to get up out the bed, show up for work, talk to people. Now there are people who choose to take out whatever they're going through on others, but when she broke that down and made that comment, I was like, yes, I agree. There is a level of performance that just comes with existing and that comes with dealing with other humans, especially if you're trying to be empathetic or kind or whatnot. Everyone doesn't need, like you said, 100% realness all the time. So, again, that theme in the book, it just comes through. It's like, oh no, I relate to all of these ladies so much because again, there's a level of performance that comes with, the work we do and living life. Switching gears a little bit, going from the book, and I'm sure it's gonna warn me once we're out, and if need be, I'll just send a whole nother link and I'll edit
Send a
this
new link,
out.
and then we can regroup.
Exactly. But since it still is connected, what are some of your favorite films? Who are some of your favorite actresses? Like what are you going to when you're like, I want to entertain myself and cut on the television or pull up a streamer or go to the theater? Like, give me a sense of what you're watching.
Well, I have to watch a lot of stuff for work, so it's not always my choice. But if I'm totally free, some of my favorite movies of the past few years have been Anora, Tar. I love a complicated female protagonist. All time, probably Black Swan is on that long list. The English Patient mentioned before. If I'm sick in bed, I always watch The First Wives Club when I'm sick in bed. Like,
Oh, it's
I,
so good.
well, I've
So
probably seen
good.
it like dozens of times at this point because anytime I have a head cold, I put it on just because it's comforting. It's like a warm bath for me at this point. Same with Soap Dish. Those two movies are kind of my comfort movies. Yeah, so I just listed off a few favorite movies the past few years. I mean, it's very important for me to stay kind of up to date and connected with what's coming out, and I often find that there can be really pleasant surprises where you're not looking for them. Like I wouldn't necessarily have run out to see I'm Still Here last year, the Brazilian film. It's just nothing against it. I just have limited time, and I had never heard of the star Fernanda Torres, much to my embarrassment. She's obviously very accomplished in Brazil. And then when I did sit down and watch it, because it was widely Oscar nominated and uh, a big success of the year, I found to my very pleasant surprise that it is an absolutely wonderful film and completely relatable and tells a very urgent story. And so I like always being open to surprises. In terms of stars who will make me watch something, some names of people who I would prioritize seeing anything they did would be Emma Stone, Natalie Portman, um, who else? I those are kind of like two on the Mount Rushmore. Um, I'm a really big fan of Kate Winslet. Um, I have had the chance to interview. I'm a big fan of Ana de Armas, whom I've interviewed, and I think is a real, genuine star. I'm a huge fan of Zendaya, and who I think is the future of Hollywood. Basically every young person in Dune, because it's her, Timothée, Florence Pugh, Austin Butler. I think they're all superstars. So I mean, those are just some names. But yeah, no, those are I'm very alive to. It feels as though, speaking of just Zendaya and the stars of Dune, feels as though a couple of years after COVID, they like turned back on the like star making machine, and there's a ton of really interesting, exciting younger actors coming up right now. I would include in that like Justice Smith and Jacob Elordi. Just people who are on the come up who maybe haven't yet won Oscars but are future Oscar winners.
No, absolutely. Going back to what we talked about at the top of the interview in our conversation, which I'm so enjoying. Tessa Thompson is going back to
Oh.
independent, and she has a new project that's going to be on the circuit soon. I can't think of the name of it, but I know like she's one that I'm always like, if she's in something, I have to see because she makes great choices. I love Tessa Thompson.
She's superb. I really liked her in that film that I wish got more love maybe 2 or 3 years ago called Passing.
Oh
Uh,
yes, on Netflix.
it's
Yes, yeah.
her and the Irish actress Ruth Negga, I believe, and both of them are absolutely spectacular in that. I read the novel Passing in college, and I never thought there'd be the interest or the ability to make it into a film that worked, and I thought they did just a wonderful job with that. Tessa has great taste. I even really liked her on Westworld, which no one talks about anymore, but she was really fun on Westworld.
No, I'm with you. We can talk offline about this, but I am such her work in Westworld as Hale, Charlotte Hale.
Oh yeah,
That's
good
my
memory.
hero, incredible. Even when she was combined with Dolores, Hale was coming through scratching herself. No,
Uh-huh.
Tessa makes great choice. Did you see her in Sylvie's Love? Um,
No, I haven't seen that. Is that like an Amazon movie? It was like on streaming.
It's so good. Yes, it's on Amazon. I know during the pandemic, outside the Nickelodeon, I did a screening of that film outside. Everyone was
Oh,
spaced out in
cool.
2021
Yeah.
because my friend of mine who's in the industry, she sent me a screener for it through the Chicago International Film Fest. And I was like, oh, this movie's great, but I was at the timings the worst because of the pandemic. So in
Right.
Little Columbia, we had an outdoor screening of that film and people
Oh,
like
that's so
made it a
cool.
whole event. It was great. You have to see it. Carrie,
Okay.
going back to Carrie, her husband, I don't want to mispronounce his first name, so I won't even attempt. Forgive me, but he's the male lead. It's incredible.
He's really
Incredible.
he's I saw his name in some press release. He's really made the transition because he was a football star
Yes,
and
but
now
he's such a good actor.
and
Like
now he's
so
made the
good.
leap. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
That's
good.
talent. Yeah, no, that's very sweet. I mean this, it sounds trite. I love how movies can bring people together. I think it's really cool. And I think that in a time like that, you putting on a screening, I think that's really awesome.
I appreciate that. I think that just goes to the root of just humanity. Like we're always trying to tell a story, whether it's through a photograph, whether it's through a painting, whether it's through television film. I mean, humans, we're living out our own stories, which are our lives. So of course, naturally, we'll connect to other stories that can reveal, new experiences or bring out the empathy within us. To be respectful for your time,
Hmm.
I'll make this the last two questions.
Okay. All right.
One of two. For those who have not read The Talent, which they need to, let me hold up the book again. Boom, boom, boom. And for those who may not necessarily be like as plugged into the whole Hollywood and actor thing, what's something that you would say to them, or what is it that you would say to them? Say, hey, like read my book, if not for being a fan of me and my work or the Hollywood aspect. Like, what's something about the book that you think is a selling point for those who haven't read it?
Yeah, I think I really if everyone has a million options of what to read, but I would say that I would never want someone to think that the book won't be legible to them because it's so Hollywood. I think that what I would say is that it is about, in large part, struggles that we all experience, struggles with one's peers, the quest for recognition, the desire to be really understood. Um, and we can all relate to that. And I think that using actors as the way to tell that story uh, is a way to put it under the microscope or the magnifying glass because uh, they're being scrutinized by more than just their peers. I think that the goal was for it to be a universal story that anyone can see a bit of their own story in. And I think that it will also, if you're curious about Hollywood, but you don't know a lot about it, it might be something that is a jumping off point for you because I'm a journalist by training and I treated the book, it's not fact, it's a novel, but I treated it as an opportunity to share some observations about the world I cover that don't really fit into journalism, but that are still true. And so I think it could be a fun opportunity to get a bit of a sense if you've ever been curious, but you don't know that much, it might be fun.
It's not might be fun. It's so much fun. It's so insightful. And even though I knew this and you definitely know it more than me, like, it lets people know like, oh, you just don't like watch a film and they get a award because it was good. There's a whole campaign aspect, which is so much part of the fun of the big Hollywood circuit machine, which I love. So it's not might be fun, it's incredibly fun. I highly encourage everyone to get their copy of The Talent ASAP, whether it's through all of the books or there any of the locally independently owned bookstores. You have to read The Talent by Daniel Di Dario, or Daddario. I'm
That's
trying to
right.
make it Italian. I'm trying to add all
Yeah,
that
yeah,
cachet.
it was a beautiful pronunciation. It's not my pronunciation, but I was transported to Tuscany as I heard it.
Listen, who doesn't need Tusky right now? And last question, because I want to let you go after this. You're a very busy man. Other than your own amazing book, Prop of the Day, Book of the Day, Book of the Century,
Oh God.
seriously, what are you reading though? Other than The Talent, give me just one or two of the books that you feel that other book lovers should be reading.
Well, I don't know about should be because I'm only about 40 pages in, so I can't recommend it yet, but I'm reading Die My Love, which is going to be adapted into a novel, or excuse me, it is a novel. It's going to be adapted into a film starring Jennifer Lawrence that will play later this year. Earlier this year I read Audition by Katie Kitamura, which is an incredibly great brief novel about a woman who is an actress whose kind of life and psyche begins to fracture as she finds herself performing. It takes a similar jumping off point to mine, I suppose, but takes it in very different directions. And then those are kind of the big ones that I've been loving. I loved a book by Rob Franklin called Great Black Hope that I would really recommend. That's all about a young man who comes out of the HBCU system as like the hopes of his family are riding on him because they are very upright, accomplished people, and they think he'll follow in their line. And he finds himself in trouble with the law and tries to untangle what his real identity is beyond his family. That was one of the really great books I've read earlier this year as well.
They all sound incredible, and I definitely will have to pick up those books and read them and hope that those listening or those watching this read those books along with The Talent by Daniel, which is one of my favorite books of 2025 and a
You are
current
way too
staff pick.
kind. You are
No,
way too kind. Thank you very much. I really appreciate this support. I appreciate stores like All Good Books. It means a lot, and I know you guys do a lot of good for your community. So me being the most infinitesimal part of the store, I really do appreciate it.
you are amazing. Thank you for your time. And before we end this session, this talk, hopefully it won't be the last. Is there anything you want to say
No.
or share with those listening and watching?
Um, buy my book or check it out from the library if you want to do that road. No, I appreciate the time. I appreciate anyone who's listened to me ramble, and I think that stores like All Good Books, like I say, are a really important part of our literary culture and our culture more broadly. So I hope that everyone listening is supporting. So thanks a lot for this opportunity. It's been really fun.
No, thank you. Appreciate you, Daniel.
All right, till next time.
Till next time.